All right, hello and welcome everyone. You're welcome to turn on your camera and mic if you want. Would love for this to be interactive. And actually, it's so great to see so many names and hopefully some faces that of our clients. So welcome Riley, welcome Dave, welcome Rebecca, Elaine, Nikisha, David. Awesome to have you. Hey, Ashley. Welcome, Daniel. Welcome, Justin. Hey, Mark. Great to see you, Mark. So we're gonna be getting started in about 60 seconds. We will record this. Hey, can Mark or Ashley, can one of you just like let me know, like, is this slide deck showing up? Are you saying AI powered accounting? What forward
Yep,
thinking firms are doing now?
looks good.
Looks good. Awesome. I've never presented in this way with using Microsoft Teams and having the PowerPoint file kind of embedded into it versus sharing my screen. So I just want to make sure it was working. All right, we're going to make sure to hit record. Oh, it's already recording. Perfect. All right, we're going to start in about 30 seconds, but if you want, I'd also invite you to use the chat functionality. So if there's something that you like want me to like dive a little deeper into, like please like just post it in the chat. Or if you have questions, invite you to do that. Invite you to post it in the chat. And then my colleagues will be kind of monitoring the chat throughout the workshop together. And just let me know if there's anything I should pick up, but I'll be monitoring that as well. So without further ado, let's jump in. So welcome to AI powered accounting, what forward thinking firms are doing now. I'm Daniel Moshe, founder and CEO of Tech Guru IT for accounting firms, and I'd like to be the first to welcome you to the future. So that's what we're going to be talking about together today. My hope for you is that you walk away excited and inspired to take action and implement some of these technologies in your firm. What I'm providing to you today is a snapshot of what we are observing now across all of the clients that we work with and all of the trends that we're seeing so that you can take and action on the ones that resonate with you. I'll be going through and sharing a lot of different use cases over the course of the next hour or so, and not every single use case will make sense to everybody on this workshop together, but my hope is that you find one, two, or maybe three, and then you can use the 90-day ramp up that I'll be sharing with you towards the end of today's workshop to actually start to implement some of those new technologies into your firm. So you might be asking yourselves like, okay, why should we be thinking about this right now? Why does this matter to me? And so I'll just give you three main points to address that question. So the first is that 70% of US firms, according to an AICPA survey, plan to implement AI this year. So my point with sharing you this statistic is that it's not that AI is anymore what we call the bleeding edge of the hype curve or adoption cycle. It is now becoming much more adopted, accepted, and already becoming almost mainstream. So now is the time to start to step up and start testing and trialing and incorporating some of the tools and technologies that we'll be sharing with you here in the next hour. The other thing is the one common thread that we hear across all of our clients is constant staffing pressures. And so AI and these types of tools that we'll be talking about are designed to not replace staff, but actually empower them to work even more effectively and elevate the level of work that they're doing from repetitive tasks to more and more tasks that are high value and create even more of a high impact client experience. The other thing is, now that AI technologies have been maturing, they hallucinate less. I love that terminology, and they create more value out of the gate. So better tools, better AI means a quicker return on investment from implementing these technologies. They're also easier to use, and more of the software vendors that you already work with either are adopting and starting to offer some of these technologies or have deep integrations with other technology platforms that are kind of like breaking new ground around AI. So ultimately, when it comes to implementing technology, it's about enhancing the customer experience and creating more value. And I really love this quote: systemize the predictable so you can humanize the exceptional. Gino Wickman, creator of the entrepreneurial operating system. And really, that's what this is all about. It's not about anything more than helping your clients achieve their goals and visions even more effectively and with less manual, repetitive work on the part of the members of your team. So without further ado, I'll walk through the agenda for today. We're going to be covering some use cases by department in your organization, starting with, of course, sales and marketing, accounting, tax, and then client communications and dashboards. I'm putting a combination of tools that we use, that our clients use, and that are trending, in the accounting world. Then, of course, we couldn't have a workshop like this without touching at least a little on compliance, FTC, and IRS guidelines, of course. And we'll wrap up at the end with a 90-day ramp-up roadmap. So invite you to see how not only can you take a couple of the ideas, but actually go and start to implement them in your firm. So that's kind of the story arc of today. I hope that you'll pull 1, 2, maybe 3 tools you want to explore. And then by the end of today's workshop, you'll actually have a bit of a game plan for an outline for how you can start to roll this out and gain adoption within your organization. So once again, I invite you to post questions in the chat. I do have that window open. So if you see something you want to dive deeper in, please just mention it there. The recordings will be sent out. The recording of this will be sent out after the workshop concludes within the next day or so. So let's get started. But of course, I want you to know that I'm not just here practicing on you. I'm providing my experiences from doing quarterly meetings, quarterly strategic planning, technology planning with our 67 accounting firm clients. I personally have been in the technology space for over 21 years. I got to tell you, this is one of the most exciting times, I think, to be in technology. It's so many new and interesting ways to use technology that are just game-changing. Tech Guru is 100% laser focused on accounting firms. So all day long, we talk to accounting firm leaders. And so everything I'm sharing with you is from things I've learned from those conversations. So I want to begin the conversation with a few just kind of like fundamental definitions of the things that we'll be talking about together today. I think a lot of times just having a common language even just helps reduce the hype and reduce the noise. So what I want to do is start with a few definitions and some examples. So we're all familiar with ChatGPT. Maybe you've heard of Claude. Google is also in the game with Gemini, and those are considered kind of general purpose large language models. You can use them for a bunch of different ways. They can ingest different types of documents or different types of data. For example, ChatGPT you can upload documents, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint slide decks, PDFs, and so forth, and even images. It can process that information as well as text-based input. And then we'll talk about domain-specific AI models. You might have heard of a couple of these. A couple of different companies are coming out with their domain-specific AI models. And what this means is it's still generally text-based prompting. However, the model is trained to provide to you, the user, a more specific result with fewer errors that are honed in on and quote unquote trained on a particular data set, such as the IRS tax code or other sorts of specific case law around tax legal decisions and so forth, where it's designed to help you get a more specific use case, a more specific result from that. A newer term maybe you haven't heard as much about. This is more in the past few months that we've been seeing this trending. It's called agentic AI. And this is where AI tools and technologies are actually taking actions with varying degrees of human oversight and learning from the results and continuously improving on how it's taking those actions. So I included a couple examples here that are kind of from different ranges, and we'll be talking about how these apply in just a few minutes. And then the last is embedded generative assistance. And so this is where inside of Microsoft, you're seeing Copilot. Inside of Intuit, you've got assistants. Inside of Xero, you've got Jax, Just Ask Xero. And even Canopy and other practice management software are incorporating large language models trained on your information and information that the vendor or that software manufacturer has provided to that model. And it's a bit narrowed in focus to be more purpose-built and designed and integrated into that particular product. So you're going to see all of these different, what do we call, implementations of AI. And of course, there's other things as well, but I wanted to focus on the ones that were most relevant for the conversation and discussion here. So I think let's start with the top of the sales funnel and use cases for sales and marketing to implement AI. So generally in sales and marketing, we're seeing primarily the use of general large language models such as ChatGPT and Claude and so forth to help with making copywriting. I'm going to go and dive into that in just a second because if you have been online and reading and posting, you can probably almost like start to tell something that has been generated by AI. And so I'll be talking in just a few minutes about how to not get put in that bucket so that your content is still unique and stands out and comes across as authentic and not generated by a robot. Some other ways that firms are implementing AI tools into their sales and marketing processes are through website chat. This can engage website visitors. I can say personally, I've seen this done well and I've seen it done poorly. So proceed with caution, I suppose. But yes, AI-based website chatbots could potentially be part of your sales or marketing funnel or pipeline and communicate with leads on your website on your behalf. The third is auto-drafted proposals and engagement letters based on information that you provide to the AI. I'll share with you just a little bit about that. There's some practice management software that is incorporating that into their offering. And graphic design. I'll show you an example of how now AI-driven graphic design can really democratize graphic design and make almost anybody able to produce pretty decent graphics pretty quickly. And finally is presentation design. I will just say I personally made all but one slide of this presentation. AI only generated one slide because I wanted to show you an example of what it was capable of. So any errors or flaws in this are personally created by me and not by AI. So let's dive into a couple of specific examples.
So, companies that either work on a calendar.
Oh, if you could, hey, whoever, let's see, Don, we got somebody on their hot mic. So if you could see who's got the hot mic and mute them, that'd be awesome. All right, so prompt engineering. Okay, so this is a fun term you may or may not have heard of. And so believe it or not, some organizations are actually creating roles in their organization for people who just write the prompts to work with AI tools, okay? So that's called prompt engineering, and that's writing what you submit into the AI piece of software in such a way that you get the best result possible, and ideally something that doesn't look like it was written by AI, okay, and that it's not generic. General rule of thumb, the more generic and broad and general you are with what you type into ChatGPT or Claude or any of the other models, the more generic the output will be. And you'll get the same you get out of it what you put in. So Dave, can you not see the slides? Dave mentioned in the chat he can't see the slides. Oh no. Shoot. Dave, make sure you're using can anybody else not see the slide? Anybody else? So just Dave. Don, maybe you can see if you can give Dave a hand, or maybe even send him a link to this. You know what I'll do? I'll put a link to the slide deck in the chat, Dave, so you can actually just open, and anybody else can just kind of open the slide deck. So I'll do that in a moment. Otherwise, Dave, maybe just look and see if you can see see if you can find the main window of Microsoft Teams. It could just be that it's hidden behind something else. So I'm going to do can view. Perfect. Sorry for the delay. All right. I think there we go. All right. So here's a link, Dave. Paste. There we go. Okay. All right. So you kind of get out of it what you put into it, and so that's why I gave an example. And even the way that I think about prompt engineering when I'm working with an AI model is I almost kind of do just a stream of consciousness, and I just kind of type everything I can possibly think of and put it into the prompt. And so that way the model is able to give me as much detail and as much nuance as it possibly can without having it be super generic. So here I put example, we're a small accounting firm based, Give it as much detail as you possibly can, as much nuance, and then fine tune it. It'll create some output for you, and then read through it, and then give it another prompt 3, 4, 5 times. And that way you can get the best possible, most fine-tuned content for whatever it is that you're working on, whether it's a social media post, email, newsletter to clients. And then I usually export that. You can even ask ChatGPT to export that to a Word doc, export it as a Word doc, and then I'll go ahead and even fine-tune that even further and really make sure it has my tone and my voice. There are ways that you can train the model to use your voice. So if you've got blog posts that you have done in the past, you can upload those to ChatGPT or whatever model you're using, and then say, hey, using the voice in the example of these 10 blog posts that I just shared with you, write this blog post about this thing. You can even have the blog post, have it generate an outline for you, and so forth. There's a lot of different approaches and ways you can do this. But the key thing here, if you give it a 1 or 2 line prompt, expect something very generic. And if you post it online, expect very low engagement, because your audience already is noticing this and they're just going to skip right past it because it's too high level and not going to be high value. Another point I want to make here is to be sure to use the right model. So if you're using ChatGPT, which is the one that I'm most familiar with because we use it most internally, we use ChatGPT Business. You've got a couple models available to you. You might notice if you use the 4.0 model, you're going to get a quicker response, but it's going to be a little bit more high level, a little bit more cursory. But if you just want something quick, that's the way to go. And it's going to still be very, very good. In fact, Microsoft Copilot is essentially ChatGPT 4.0 built into Microsoft 365. More to that on a little bit later. Whereas 0.3, now that model is going to take 30 seconds to 2 minutes to do a lot of thinking. It's going to do multiple iterations. It's going to go research online. And it also has more what's called memory. What that means is it's going to remember what you have prompted it in the past and what responses it has provided to you. And it's going to weave those past conversations, quote unquote conversations you've had with the model into future and subsequent prompts that you submit and conversations that you have. It does take a little bit longer, but you're going to get more in-depth, more detailed results. I generally use 0.3 unless I need something just really quick, and then I use our 4.0. Then there is deep research. You only get so many deep research in the paid version of ChatGPT per billing cycle. I think it's 10 or 20 of them. And what deep research is going to take is a good 10 to 20 minutes and essentially build you a cited, um, like almost like scientific paper quality research project. And so the reason I love deep research is it'll go through and read 20, 30, even 100 different articles and blogs and things that are available on the internet and put it all together in a very well organized and cited uh, uh, research paper essentially for you. So an example here is I wanted to upgrade and work on some of our ways that we approach customer service. So what we did was do a deep research on what are all the top, what's really trending right now in customer service and customer delight. And it put together a great paper for me, and I wove some of those ideas into our customer service approach. Oh, and thanks, Nikisha. Great comment on the training on AI fundamentals. And I watched that one as well. In the Breach Secure portal, if you're a Tech Guru client, is very helpful in working with prompts. Thanks for that comment as well. So I went way more in depth than I intended to on this slide, but I wanted to make, there's some good foundational principles here. The rest of this will go just a little bit quicker. I want to point out like a great democratizing graphic design is a product like Canva. You can put in a prompt and it will actually give you 10 or 15 sample designs. And this was an example where uploaded a photo of a new team member, and then a prompt was create a LinkedIn post about this new team member, and it did all of the rest, and it gave you 10, 15 designs to choose from in seconds. It's incredible. And so business designs, there's other products out there as well, Microsoft Designer, Leonardo.ai. A lot of these are kind of a free to try, and then if you want some more of the advanced features, then you're paying a little extra. But I just like, if this is one thing to just try out, elevate your graphic design. You can have it take a look at your website to take design cues and colors from that as well, so it's consistent with the rest of your brand. And so it can really reduce the iterative cycles needed to get to get some graphic design, whether it's for a newsletter or a social media post. And then here's where I mentioned AI in your presentations. So this is leveraging Microsoft Copilot as part of Microsoft 365. It is an additional software license, about $20 per month for this subscription. And yes, we have both Copilot, we have ChatGPT. We kind of use both because we want to just test and know everything. But the nice thing about adding the Copilot license to your Microsoft 365 subscription is that you can do it user by user. So you could have only one or two users start with it and do some testing with it. So what I was able to do, you can have the ChatGPT, and this is ChatGPT built into Microsoft 365, and it's built into Microsoft Outlook, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, and Excel. I'm going to show you this PowerPoint example, and I'll show you an Excel example in a few minutes. What you can actually do, you could have the Copilot generate an entire slide deck for you. You could have it generate just specific slides or help with the design and layout of one particular slide. So I put into Microsoft Copilot, I said, please build a slide about AI with accounting firms. And this is the one slide that it developed for me. So this was totally AI generated. And so I'm like, well, actually, it's pretty good. It grabbed an image that's fairly relevant. The information that it's putting here is pretty factual. And it even gave me a whole script to go off of. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it gave you the whole kind of like bullet points and things to say. So wow, I was actually pretty impressed by this one. So artificial intelligence is revolutionizing the accounting sector by automating repetitive tasks like reconciliation, invoice generation, report generation, not only saving time, but minimizing human errors, leading to enhanced accuracy, et cetera, et cetera. That's almost better than what I came up with. So give it a try and see if it helps in your sales presentations. But now back to me, not Microsoft Copilot. So that was sales and marketing. So the idea with all of the things that I just shared with you there is it's going to just reduce iterations increase engagement, and increase, of course, in getting new clients into your sales pipeline. There are so many more sales and marketing use cases for AI. I could have easily done the whole presentation just on that. Whether it's, I mean, gosh, I was seeing advertisements on LinkedIn, or is it anyway, somewhere, LinkedIn or wherever, saying like, hey, fully AI sales people that will actually call customers and talk to them on your behalf. Yikes. So we didn't talk about that one yet, but those are what I'd say is a little bit more of the bleeding edge. What I've been sharing with you here today are much more like sort of ready to adopt technologies that are a little bit more sort of, I'll call it safe at this time and proven. So if you found something that resonates for you in the sales and marketing use cases, jot that down, and that will apply when we get to the later part of the workshop, which is the 90-day ramp-up roadmap. So now we're going to talk about accounting and accounting use cases. The tools that are most relevant here are embedded, or at least what's most prevalent right now, are embedded generative assistance and agentic AI. So it's tools that are built into the software that you already use, helping you use the software. And I have to say, whether it's, I've used the assistant, AI assistant in Rippling for payroll, in Xero accounting software, and they're actually pretty helpful. I was pleasantly surprised. And in some cases, they can even take some action. So they do have it take on some agent level approach. So we're going to cover just a couple of simpler use cases. One is reconciliation automation. We'll cover invoice creation and, of course, some financial analysis and anomaly detection. So one I'm highlighting here for reconciliation automation, and the screenshot I took is actually called BotKeeper. And so as you can see from this dashboard screenshot, it is actually, so this product integrates with other accounting softwares, and it is sort of automatically reconciling transactions for you using AI. It's learning from the human input and the human corrections. And so it's thus continuously improving. And so this kind of like leads into my like future vision for, tax and accounting firms, but I'll get to that a little bit later. In that, yeah, I think the future state of these types of organizations that we work with are actually human augmented AI. And so I'm expecting like somewhat of an uproar and maybe some pushback, but I generally think that this is the future in this industry, is that AI is going to be doing most 80 to 90% of the repetitive tasks, and to be compliant with IRS and FTC guidelines, have a quote human in the loop, but I'll get to the compliance stuff in a little bit. So human verified, humans double checking, humans fine tuning the robots, but generally speaking, the robots doing most of the repetitive day-to-day tasks. Again, elevating your staff to focus on the things that are even more interesting and elusive, as we all know, tracking down particular transactions and correctly coding them. The other two products that were able to actually intervene and actually start to do some transactions themselves also is Intuit Assist. So if you have any clients using QuickBooks Online, I encourage you to see what its current capabilities are. And JAX, just ask Xero. So if you're using Xero or any of your clients are, it's up in the top right, click on it, and it can do everything from, hey, generate this invoice, create this report. And of course, you can ask it questions for how to use the product as well. So here's an example of using just ask Xero to generate an invoice. I know it's a bit small, but the prompt put in there was, hey, please invoice this customer for this or that. And then it's taking those actions, actually creating that draft invoice that's ready for you to hit send. So that's one of the more basic use cases. But of course, there are technologies out there that are much more robust, where they can ingest data or CSV files and actually turn those into invoices and help with automating both accounts receivable and accounts payable. So here's an example of using and doing data analysis in Microsoft Excel with Copilot. After doing some Google, I wanted to pull up like a sample income statement for the last 3-4 years from Apple Computer, but that does in an Excel format online. Well, guess what? That doesn't exist. You can find it in PDFs. So I'm like, hey, wait a second. I bet ChatGPT could generate this. So sure enough, I went to ChatGPT. I said, generate a income statement for Apple Computer for the last 4 years. It was able to do that. And then I put just a very simple prompt in a Copilot in Excel. I said, hey, give me some analysis of trends in this income statement for this company. And sure enough, like, within a few moments, it said, hey, you know what? Operating expenses increased over the years, but growth is moderate compared to gross profit, including controlled spending. And so here I'm getting some pretty quick insights, saving me the time to have to look at that or build graphs, and really kind of think through it. Really, almost in a snap of a finger, I got a pretty good snapshot of the trends. And this is just a very, very basic example. I can imagine using this for anomaly detection as well. Like, hey, look at this list of 10,000 transactions. Which of these stand out, or which of these are concerning to you, or which need to be investigated further. Those are all example use cases. I did try, this isn't still like not perfect by any means, and definitely needs to be tested and validated. So just please always keep that in mind. AI are still they still hallucinate. They still are biased towards giving you an answer more so than necessarily giving you an accurate answer. So just please keep that in mind, and validate and fact check before you make business decisions, or even recommendations to your customers based on what you're seeing. But my ask for you is, next time you're toiling over an Excel spreadsheet, click that Copilot icon on the top right, and ask it some questions. Ask it to look at and analyze the data. Oh yes, Mark, you perfectly teed me up for this question. I'll come back to the security and data privacy in just a few minutes. But that's a great question. Thank you for posting that about whether it's safe to upload client information to Copilot within Excel. But I'll cover dashboards and other visualizations in a few minutes. But wanted to just give you a brief taste of what you can do in Excel, leveraging Microsoft Copilot. So those are just a couple of, again, basic tools, but just imagine how you can elevate your team, showing them how to use these tools, and take and save a bunch of time, not having to toil with some of those spreadsheets that require some manual or repetitive tasks, or a lot of data analysis. Now we'll move into tax. Admittedly, this part, I'm not a tax preparer, so I expect to be called out once or twice if I miss anything. But this is from talking to our clients and learning about how they're applying. And I'm also on an ongoing journey of learning as well. And almost literally, as I am speaking these words, new features, new functionality, new products, new capabilities are coming out, again, continuously. So with tax, for automating, leveraging AI, we're typically seeing the use of domain-specific large language models for tax research, for example, and also some agentic AI with some of the data extraction and scenario modeling. So we're going to jump right into the first example, which is data extraction. Quite a few of our clients are rolling this out this year. The technologies are still, I don't know why, they're still mostly server-based. They need to be installed on a server if they're going to be accessed by multiple people in the organization, with the exception of ProConnect. ProConnect has the ability to take in, a 1040 and auto-populate and help you generate the 1040 for the coming year. So there are some browser or cloud-based solutions, but SurePrep, Gruntworks, and CCH Scan and AutoFlow, they still seem to need a server to run on. Although CCH Scan Autoflow can still can interact with your if you're using, oh gosh, what's it called? The CCH cloud hosted version. I'm totally anybody post it there, they know what it is. I can't remember what it's called. The online version of CCH, it can interact with that. So the idea with these software is, instead of having to kind of manually key in information from past year 1040s and W2s, you can extract the data from them. It's using machine learning, which is another type or implementation of AI, and then importing that data into the database so that you can apply that information It is saving time, it is saving reps, it is saving manual data entry, and it's increasing accuracy. They have all different pricing models on here, so I'm going to leave that for you to research. But depending on the scope of your practice, taking a look at one of these products, starting with the product that integrates with your tax platform. May I please encourage you to start there. See what already integrates with your tax platform. Thomson SurePrep, I think, integrates with a lot of them. But the idea is you're scanning information, it's processing it, extracting the data from these manual paper forms. So another potential use case for you there. The next use case we'll cover is research. You can certainly use ChatGPT, any model you want for tax research. If you want to get more accurate, less hallucination, and a little bit more like trusted, proven data, you'll want to consider one of the existing kind of products that have been trained on case law and tax code, such as BlueJ, Thomson Reuters product, CCH has a product, and Bloomberg also has a product. The idea here is that with less prompts, with less time, you're getting more curated responses, and even the ability to, it was fun watching the demo of, I think it was BlueJ, even hit a button or here say, hey, turn this into something I can email to my customer. So even something that can quickly translate the, quote unquote, tax speak, tax language into something that can be more client facing and understood and better and communicated to your customers as well. So for any of those that have kind of those complex edge case clients with multiple jurisdictions involved and so forth, this can be something that can save a lot of time and increase the value to your client. And speaking of complex tax cases, the third use case is what's called scenario modeling. These screenshots here are from Core V tax planning product. This product, what it does is I think it analyzes the scenarios against 1,500 different ways of evaluating and looks to really reduce your client's tax bill. And so and I know a couple of clients are using various, tax planning tools already. But the idea with this one is it's using predictive modeling, AI, and so forth to really kind of look deep into the data and analyze it and give you different scenarios and diagnostics that you can use to present to your clients and really actually even show, increased value to them as well. Little do they know, you're using AI behind the scenes to put this together and help them optimize their tax strategy. I hope I said all of that right. I've talked to accounting firm and leaders for the last year and a half and my own CPA for the last 20 years or whatever, but I hope this makes sense. And one of these might make a great upgrade to your firm and your operations, in the coming year, maybe throughout the coming summer. We're going to take another turn now to look at the client engagement, communication, and dashboards. So once you've, this is really about gathering information from your clients. You're doing all the behind the scenes accounting and tax work, and then getting them the completed product. AI tools generally being used here are large language models and agentic AI once again. A couple of use cases where you can apply AI technologies include automating your client gathering of information in that workflow with reminders, email, and even text message reminders, and of course, building dashboards for your client. I took a little different approach to how I'm going to present these use cases because most everybody on this call is using a practice management software of some sort or another. So I just took a quick snapshot of how each of the most common practice management softwares are implementing these technologies to automate. And so my hope is that you'll start to play with it, at the very least, test and play with it, maybe even start to set up some of the functionality in your existing practice management software. So those of you using Carbon or considering Carbon, what it's doing for you, leveraging AI, is summarizing email communications back and forth with your client, so you don't have to read through pages and pages of different emails going back and forth We use actually something similar at Tech Guru to summarize and keep track of kind of history within the communications and the ticketing that we're working on with our clients, and it's very helpful. Saves a lot of time. Based on those summaries, Carbon will draft or suggest a draft of a reply and highlight tasks that need to be completed based on those conversations. So if you haven't already started playing with that, please check it out. If you're using Client Hub, we have only like 1 or 2 clients using Client Hub, but I think it's worth looking into. If you are using it, they offer a secure client portal integration with QuickBooks Online. They also are doing some automated task reminders as well as template suggestions to automate responses and speed up getting responses to your clients. Canopy, a lot of our clients use Canopy. Also has been rolling out just kind of like a new AI feature every so often. Similarly to the other ones that we mentioned, helping you draft routine emails. Again, this is where you're seeing AI assistant embedded into the software and sort of being trained on both Canopy, its workflows, and the information that is in your database, and helping you even suggest next actions. TaxDome took a little different route. They are helping automate the renaming, accurate naming of files and tagging of files so that when your clients upload files, they're usually some random, naming convention. It is making those more, naming them consistently. And also they built a pretty cool AI reporting engine with some dashboards and metrics that can automate giving insights to your clients about their engagement with you and about your firm overall. Furthermore, one other product, this is Soraban. A handful of our clients are testing Soraban as we speak or have used it already for 1 season. And what this does is it automates document collection workflows, again, using AI. Again, all the administrative tasks around data collection, information collection, and form tax organizer completion. It's really managing that whole process really on your behalf with each of your clients, getting better compliance and more information on a timely manner with less of your direct involvement. It also offers tax form data extraction, leveraging AI, as well as a return delivery service and a payment collection automation functionality as well. So those are a couple examples of how different products are using AI to enhance their feature set, and just continue to stay subscribed to your practice management software's newsletter to continue to learn what is going to become available to you and when, and then start testing and working with your team to adopt some of these features. One last thing that I think adds a lot of value in me as a business owner, I do certainly enjoy our dashboards. And it used to be the case that setting up dashboards, was time consuming and frustrating and required a lot of setup. It really isn't the case anymore. In fact, Xero has rolled out in a beta form an integration with SIFT, SYFT, really beautiful visualizations and dashboards that compare year on year, month on month, are very customizable and extensible. And so this is a way you can add value to your client relationship that automatically syncs with your, with their accounting software, whichever happens to be. SIFT integrates with other products in Xero. It just seems like they've established a partnership. So it's now a basic version of SIFT seems to be almost integrated into Xero, the Xero product. So there's a way that you can, without a lot of lift and effort or manual entry, create some value. Maybe you're meeting with your client on a monthly or a quarterly basis, go through and demonstrate to them in a visual way the health and trends of their businesses. And so that are the main use cases I wanted to cover. So we kind of covered everything from sales and marketing, accounting, tax, and then client engagement. There are way more use cases. There are way more products. In fact, I even recommending using AI to research other AI products. It used to be the case, and Google should be kind of scared, I think, a little bit of this, that I would go to Google and research a product. It seems like nowadays Google, the first page is really only advertisements anymore, and it's hard to even really get, good, insights. I go to ChatGPT So if I'm looking for a product or a service that I need for my business, I usually say, hey, here's my use case. Here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Here's some information about my business. Hey, what products should I be using? Give me a list of the top 5 to help me accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish. The other thing I recommend as you think about where to start or where to continue building on your tech stack is look at the integrations that already exist for the products you already use and love. If you love your practice management software, take a look at the integrations that already exist. And so you don't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't want you to, like, an unfortunate result of implementing more tools is that you've got more logins and your tech stack becomes more complex. That is not what we're looking for here. We're recommending you instead find products that have deep integrations with products you already use. I couldn't help myself. I had to just share a couple of other use cases that I use all the time that transcend not just work. But I have to tell you, using ChatGPT to generate job descriptions and interview guides has been incredibly helpful. When I've been hiring, it comes up with great hard questions to ask for interview guides. And I just say, hey, weave in our core values. Here's what they are. Here's what I'm looking for. I give that stream of consciousness. I give it as much information as I can. And I use this WHO hiring methodology, WHO hiring methodology by Jeff Smart. And I say, follow that methodology. And it just builds a beautiful job description. Almost always I need to fine tune it and tweak it a little bit. But generally it gets me, I'd say 80 to 90% of the way there. And then I just fine tune it and give it to our recruiter to go and hire that person. Also, career paths. If you don't have career paths for your team, they're just mapping out their career journey with your organization. What I do with my career paths is I write out as much as I can possibly think of, and I get it maybe 20, 30% built. And then I paste it into ChatGPT and I say, build out the rest of this career path and suggest other dimensions for career growth. And it almost always comes up with 5 or 10 other things I didn't even think of, but were really great ideas. And I say, hey, recommend things that are relevant to my industry and for this role. And it just does that. And then I'll just one last one because I can't help myself is family meal planning and grocery lists. I've always struggled with this. And so I just put in here's the makeup of my family. Here's what we like to eat. Here's what's in the fridge right now. Make some recipes that taste good. I recommend saying that tastes good and tell it like, we like this, but no onions, whatever. And then give me a grocery list and it'll do that for you too. So this has really revolutionized not just our professional lives, but also in many cases, personal. We've even used it for trip planning. Hey, we've got 2 days. Here's where we're going to be going. What should we see along the way? Or we're going to be in this city for 2 days. What are the best highlights? And the thing will make you a whole itinerary. So that was fun. Okay, so we gotta keep this moving forward so we wrap up on time and maybe even have a second or two for a question. We'll see. So keep the conversation happening in the chat. Keep the questions coming. Before we get carried away any further, I want to address Mark's question about regulatory compliance and about the IRS and the FTC and what they have to say about all of this. So first and foremost, as with any other tool that you use, please promptly implement or enable multi-factor authentication or single sign-on that already has multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication using an app is our preferred method. Text message-based and email-based multi-factor authentication, while still effective, is less preferred. So please use the app if you possibly can, app-based multi-factor. The key thing about working with these AI models is we do not want to train any models on confidential or private information. Okay, so that is the big thing the IRS in the document that they created that they impress upon us. The good news is with ChatGPT Business, the paid version, and with the Microsoft Copilot built into Microsoft 365, it is not training the model on your data. And so thus it is okay to use that information or use, real information, even if it's not masked. The thing where it gets dangerous, if you don't provide a paid version of the license to your employees, and they're using the free versions of any of the publicly available models, more likely than not, those models are training their models on prompts that your staff are putting in. And so if they wish to use those models, that is fine, but the data needs to be masked before it is input into the model. That is the key thing to remember. So ChatGPT Pro, Copilot built into 365 do not train the model on that, that information that you're submitting into it. Another key thing that's stressed by the IRS is always still maintaining a human in the loop for verification and validation and safety. And so what the human in the loop means is that you're not having the full entire process fully automated without any human intervention or human review. There must be a human review step before deliverables are produced and provided to the client. The other thing that you can always do whenever looking for any of these products is looking for SOC 2 compliance. Almost every website of these products, it has either a security or a compliance or a cybersecurity section. Look for things that say SOC 2 and where the location of their data centers are. I just validated one for a client that we were on a call with a few hours ago, and sure enough, it answered all of my questions, and I felt confident in recommending the client that they could use that product to store confidential information. So those are just some, that's kind of where help you stay in the right path with IRS and FTC. And Mark, I hope that answers your question. So where I want to go from here as we start to kind of turn this conversation into action. Let's see. Oh, we got a question from Michael. So if we have ChatGPT setting, improve the model for everyone turned off, we do not need to mask any data. Michael, I'm not super familiar with that specific setting. So feel free to send me an email and I can take a look at that. What I know is that in the business version of ChatGPT with a $20 a month version, by default, it does not train the model, but I'm not familiar with that specific setting. And I'm not familiar with a lot around AI because there's just so much, it is absolutely overwhelming. So let me tell you, I can check into that. And then, furthermore, I think yeah, they'll just check. You can send us an email. I'll have my email on the slide here at techguruit.com. There it is in the chat. So I already kind of touched on this a little bit. I'm going to just talk now briefly as we start to kind of wrap up and turn this conversation into action with the 90-day ramp up roadmap. I wanted to kind of talk about what I think might be the future vision of firms with, relative to this technology. So I think, in my humble opinion, is instead of just providing talent and services, accounting and tax firms of the future are going to actually provide and be almost a IT, or it's not IT, but like a managed technology with human oversight and management of those technologies. And so you'll be a firm, and that I think pricing and billing model will need to change accordingly. So that you're compensated for the value that you are creating, not strictly by the hours that you're putting in. So fixed fee model, I know, has already been monthly billing and things like that, already a big trend in this space. And I think that this is only going to further accelerate the transition to fixed fee, monthly recurring service models. And the idea here is now that you're getting paid instead of hourly on a fixed fee model, and you're there thus trying to maximize the value and maximize the margins that you can create by implementing as much automation as possible, thus increasing accuracy as well. So I mentioned the human augmented AI business model. I think, in my humble opinion, is the way that we're headed in the future, and then creating and providing much more business intelligence and insights to the clients, leveraging, a curated set of tools. So speaking of that curated set of tools, what I think is a great place to start, and this is just a very rough draft, don't think you need to fill in everything in here, but adding to your app stack or your tech stack, the AI technologies and tools that you will be using in your firm. So as a firm deciding, hey, this is the general AI model that works best for us, and most likely subscribing to it. For me to pay $20 a month for each of my team members to have, a paid version of ChatGPT, I think is so worth it. And even probably one thing that they ask it to do, as long as they're using it well. And we'll talk about that in a second, training. What product are you using for transaction coding and reconciliation automation? Maybe BotKeeper is an example. Are you using a product to automate accounts payable and accounts receivable? Soraban is an example there. And again, trying to find and create an application stack where these products integrate with one another to the greatest extent possible, reducing the need for having to log into multiple platforms. What is your tax research platform? What is your data extraction tool that you're using? So everybody's got their tech stack already. I propose that you add, and every bookkeeping and accounting firm and tax firm, in the coming year will need to add these tools to their tech stack as well as business intelligence and dashboards for clients, and ultimately, of course, picking that client portal that has, of course, AI integration. So that brings me to the 90-day ramp-up roadmap. So turning this tech stack, from theory to reality. And I know I've only got 4 or 5 minutes left here, so I'll kind of not breeze through this, but just kind of outline it for you. So days 1 through 30. And if you think about it, the reason I thought of this as a 90-day roadmap is you got July, August, September, and then things can thus go live then for the coming busy season. So where I propose that you start is getting your leadership team on board and on the same page that we want to do this, and we're going to implement a couple of tools. Take inventory of current processes, highlight the ones that are most ripe for automation, evaluate risk and compliance, ideally starting with lower risk, lower hanging fruit first. Kick off some training with your team. There's a lot of great free training from the AICPA on AI. And as I mentioned, we also provide a little bit of training through our cybersecurity awareness training, and then decide on which product you're going to pilot. When you have that pilot determined, go ahead and start testing it, maybe procure it or get a demo, get a trial license, ensure that multi-factor authentication is enabled, as I mentioned. Write down how, as a firm, you are going to use that software, have somebody become the champion for it, and start to measure what are the results that you'll define success for implementing that tool. Hours saved, output, and so forth. And finally, ramp up reviewing those results, documenting maybe a policy or process for how you use it, implement a quarterly AI or innovation schedule or meetings, roll out that product firm-wide, and start to plan out those next 12 months. As a Tech Guru client, we actually meet with our clients every 90 days, and these are the kind of things that we're talking about rolling out and implementing across firms. And then, of course, at the end, communicate with clients if you wish about ways that you're stepping up and evolving, innovating how you're delivering your products and services to them. And then finally, my hope for you is by the day that 90 days are completed, you've got one production workflow up and running, live. You've got everybody signed on to an AI policy, agreeing not to train publicly, public models on unmasked data. Your staff have completed some foundational training. Leadership is bought in on evolving and elevating your organization and incorporating some of these automations and tools. And at the very least, you've increased your confidence around automation and technology. So Tech Gurus, I joke, a customer service company that happens to provide technology services. I think nowadays we're helping our clients implement, AI tools and technologies. And so I think it's interesting that accounting firms and tax firms are quickly becoming technology companies that happen to provide bookkeeping and tax services to their clients. It all comes full circle, as they say. I just wanted to do a quick mention before we close, just a little bit about Tech Guru and what we do. Ultimately, we work with accounting firms and bookkeeping firms and tax firms across the United States, and we even have a client in Canada, helping them accomplish what we call 3 things. We call proactive, productive, and secure. Proactive means technology strategic planning every 90 days, keeping and moving the business forward, implementing and making and adopting the best that technology has to offer, while helping them recognize ways and implement improvements to their workflows, all while staying not only compliant, but secure and incorporating a a culture of security throughout the entire organization. So I'd love to have a conversation with you today if you're not already a TechGuru client. And if you are a TechGuru client, which many of you are, and thank you for joining us today, we're excited to continue the conversation on uncovering more technology opportunities for you, helping you accelerate your adoption of AI, all while staying secure and evolving your firm. So with that, big thank you to everybody who joined us. If you have any questions, please, feel free to just come off of mute. I can hang out for a couple of minutes. We'll post the recording online, and I wish you all the very best on your AI journey. Thank you all very, very much. Awesome. Okay. Nikisha, if you're using ChatGPT Teams, it's supposed to be closed. That's right. ChatGPT Teams is closed, and it is not training the model on that. That is correct, and that is why we use Teams. Mark, thank you very much. Anybody else have any other questions? Rebecca, Jessica, Ryan, George? All right. Okay. Well, until next time, thank you all so much. We'll post the video. We'll send out a recap. And BotKeeper, do you want to know about BotKeeper? Yeah. BotKeeper automates account reconciliation and transaction entry into your client's accounting software is really what it does. So it's coding those transactions into the right accounts for you with the right information, the right notes. So that's what that's doing for you, Daniel. Yeah, certainly give us a call if you have any questions. Nikisha, some platforms are asking you to sign up for Passkey even if you have MFA. Passkey, we're good with Passkey. Everybody, those passkeys are I think the future of security and a passwordless future. Passwords are inhumane, if you ask me. And passkeys, if you set them up, we are comfortable with them. They are secure, and they are an acceptable replacement to multi-factor authentication because it is another way of implementing multi-factor authentication because it ties it to something that you have, which is usually a finger or some other biometrics, and to your computer, and securely logs you into that application. So we are good with passkeys. We're at this time. Thank you for asking as well. All right, I think that's all the questions, all the chats. So with that, we'll be doing this again in the near future, another webinar. Not sure the topic yet, but we'll post that out in email and invite you to those when we get on the calendar. Have a great day, everybody, and thank you once again for joining us today. Bye-bye.